Well, there are 10 games completed in the MLS Cup playoffs, and only one team managed to win a road game. It's the New York City Football Club, and they did it at Charlotte. We're going to hear from both Dean Smith, the Charlotte coach, and Pascal Janssen, the New York City coach, plus some highlights and a look at the other playoff openers as well. All coming up. NYCFC Views Live. Good to have you.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy.
Tiene el tiro y gol! ¡Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer!
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, here we are. I'm Glenn Crooks. There's Roberto Abramowitz. We're back from Charlotte. Came back after the game. Those late flights are always easier to handle after a victory, and then the long drive home back to Jersey. But it's all worth it, Roberto. Welcome. How you doing?
I am doing fine, and the team is doing fine, which is even better for New York City FC fans after a really exciting and well-played, playoff game. And it's interesting, Glenn, because remember in Pascal's press conference going into the game, and I asked him, so you've lost 3 out of 4. What does that mean going into the playoffs? And he said nothing. And that was like a one-word answer. And it meant nothing. He was absolutely right. It meant absolutely nothing. So much for momentum going into these games. It's better to be just well prepared for that match than trying to rely on, momentum coming into it and things like that. If you're healthy and you're doing okay and you've got a good game plan, and of course you've got good players, that matters more than coming into it, on a hot streak.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it works both ways. The New York City Football Club in 2021, they won 6 in a row, including at the end of the regular season and then into the playoffs. So they entered the playoffs in good form, remained in good form, and won MLS Cup. So it goes both ways. I just think the energy of the play. Well, you heard it from Aiden O'Neill today in his presser, where he talked about the fact that, yeah, there was more juice for this game. You could feel it around the club, and they responded. So, look, it was 1-0 the final. The first half was really, really well played, and the number of times that they recovered the ball in Charlotte's end, and then eventually in the 34th minute, Alonso Martínez gets the goal. And man, what a goal! So first, let's hear the English radio commentary for myself and Matty Lawrence, and then the Spanish with Roberto Abramowitz and Ariel Hudas on the New York City FC radio network.
The top of the area, and a little scissor kick by Tim Ream to clear off that curling ball intended for Martinez. Martinez will chase it down. He's 25 yards for the Charlotte goal, on the dribble, in the area, and works a 1-2 off of Ream, and then finishes. Oh my, Alonso Martínez, the mentality after he won the ball back, and I swear that was played off of Ream.
No, he played it one side and he ran the other.
Oh.
I think this is totally done on purpose for Martinez. Credit Pereira for winning the ball on the top of the 18-yard box. He heads it into Alonso Martínez, and he just knocks it with the outside of the right. It's round Belanda. He knocks it round Belanda with the outside of the right, and then finishes with the inside of the right.
It's like, and you see, I thought my original thought is that he knocked it off of Ream and got it back.
Understandable.
Danny Higginbotham thought that he megged Malanda. He didn't do that either. And that's after seeing the replay 5 times. So the fact he did it in a crowd, he did it that quickly. People watching the game and commentating on it didn't exactly know what happened. And then it went from there. But let's hear Roberto and Ariel now, please, Shane.
Y viene el centro hacia el segundo palo, estaba buscando ahí a Martínez, despejó la defensa, Perea gana por aire, Martínez retrocede por el balón, Martínez la tiene, Martínez se acerca al área, Martínez se quiere meterlo, se tira, gol, ¡qué gol! ¡Qué gol! ¡Qué gol! ¡Una locura lo que acaba de hacer Alonso Martínez! New York City arriba 1-0, ¡qué gol!
Y se va a notar mi edad en el comentario que voy a hacer. Maradoniano es lo que acaba de hacer Alonso Martínez. Hasta 3 regates en el área, seguía avanzando, nadie lo frenaba, iba midiendo, iba buscando, encuentra el hueco donde meter su disparo y termina marcando un verdadero golazo. Tal vez el mejor gol de playoffs hasta ahora en la primera jornada.
The best part of that call was Ariel. When he got past the defenders, he went, "Oh!"
He got excited. We got an excited moment from Ariel.
That was great. That was great.
It's funny. We have a term in Spanish that it just doesn't sound good in English, but we have a term in Spanish that's called an autopass, autopase, and you use it a lot. And that's exactly what he did. He passed the ball to himself around Malanda. And it was just freaking awesome to see it. And I spoke to him on the plane. As we were getting on the plane, I stopped by his seat and we chatted for a bit. And I said, it seemed to me, I said, that everything seemed to slow down for you. And he goes, it's exactly what happened. He says, everything was slow. I could visualize every move I was going to make as I was making it. I could visualize what the next step was. I mean, when you start playing at that level, okay, I mean, that is an absolute level above for the players that can absolutely slow the game down. Those are the great players in this league and in any league. The players that everything, instead of being fast and you don't know where it's going, and when everything sort of slows down in slow motion for you, that's when you've hit another level. And that's exactly what he did. For him to have the mentality and the aggressiveness to go and attempt what he attempted and then get through it. And, you know, obviously Charlotte's defense is, you know, complicit in just being very, very poor as well. But that was great. But, you know, I say Charlotte's defense was poor, but those are two really good players. He beat two very good players who had a moment that maybe they would like to take back.
I listened in on Dean Smith's presser today, the Charlotte coach, and so he did comment on this Martinez goal, the defensive side of things. So Shane, if you could run that one.
It was a good run, but it should have been dealt with. Yeah, you like that? It's a tough one because you're in the penalty box, so you know any planting of your foot is a possible penalty. But there was just no physical contact. I think the referee had already pretty much made it clear that he was allowing physical contact with their first chance with it was the one on Diani. So, go and make physical contact with players.
Thanks. So, and John Freeman was letting things go. And it's pretty doubtful unless it was really clear. Now, if you stick your leg out and he trips over it, but he's talking about going body to body a little bit to at least get a piece of him. But Malanda was flat-footed. Ream was, I'm not exactly sure what he was thinking. And the rest is...
he was an observer.
Yeah.
We've talked about this with the national team as far as Ream. He's not the same player he was with Fulham, at least up until 2 years ago. He just isn't the same player. Hence why I'm always talking about who is going to be starting next to Chris Richards for the U.S. national team, because it can't be Ream. It just can't be Ream. And we saw it right there. That was a key moment of the game. And he just went right through him. Ream was a spectator. And I love him, but it's a fact.
Yep, 312 games for Fulham, which when I was doing the notes for the game, I was like, whoa, I forgot it was that many. Pascal Janssen, part of my pregame briefing, spoke to him today, Roberto, about the Alonso Martínez magic. Here's what he had to say.
So I have to ask you, have you ever seen a player put the ball around the defender, get it on the other side of that defender in the penalty area? I hadn't, but I wonder if you have.
Well, you've seen a lot of games, so If you haven't seen it, then it's completely new. It didn't surprise me, Glenn, and I'll tell you why, because I told the other journalists the same. I see Tico train every day, and when he's in a good place, he produces special things. So this was one of those special moments, and in our game style and our style of play, we always try to get behind the defenders with give and goes or individual movement or whatever the case is, but the aim is to get behind the defense. So seeing Tico play a through pass on himself, getting behind the defense and then finish it off, that was a new one for me too.
Yep, a new one. Yep, and this is what they've been trying to get, and he's started to think about doing it and has a couple of times now. Agustin Ojeda on the flank. You normally see this kind of thing on the wing, putting it around the defender and getting it on the other side. A self pass, we would call it. What did you call it? An otro pass?
It's autopase, auto pass.
Autopasse.
Autopasse.
All right, self pass or just. Play it on one side, get it on the other, and it what really was remarkable. Hey, I do want to.
Kevin Rogers has a good point here, by the way. If you want to put that up because it's relevant to what we're talking about. It's the last one, right? So he says, I think Maxi may have frozen Ream because remember Maxi was standing next to him, so he may have thought for a second that he was going to do a wall pass with Maxi, a 1-2 with Maxi, and maybe that's why he decided, he got frozen on that moment. But, to pass a ball around Melanda going around the other side, it's like, Jesus, that takes guts to do that. And he just executed it to perfection.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree about the guts part. You're in a part of the field where if you lose the ball, it's no big deal, honestly. He's just I thought back to Roberto before we were coming on here. I think he's tried to do that before. You know how there's a lot, it's really packed in there, and they do those close combinations. And I really think he's probably tried this before. And man, he was successful. I want to remind, or maybe folks watching or listening don't even know, but I did a one-on-one with Alonso with translation from Esteban Camino from our communications department for Hudson River Blue, a publication you should subscribe to because it costs nothing, and they cover the team better than anyone on a not a daily basis necessarily, but post-game, pre-game. I know both
all the essentials are covered and more.
Yeah, and but I did a Q&A, and there's some interesting points in there. I think, especially his transfer story from Punta Neras to Alajuelense, where they actually took the gate receipts of a game they played against each other, and that was the transfer fee. Plus, as Alonso told me, plus 20 soccer balls. So
that's pretty funny.
And if you go on Transfer Market, it's listed as a free transfer, but it wasn't quite free. But anyway, go read it. It doesn't take long. It's some interesting little Alonso tidbits. I mean, he grew up
also, by the way,
he grew up on an island of 1,500 people. I mean, come on, man.
That's not bad. Also, if we're doing shout outs, I want to also give a nice shout out here to Blue City Radio, who gave us these very cool glasses. So
when you say gave us, like when did they give us?
Oh, you didn't get them? You didn't get one?
Did you get it sent?
No, they gave it to me at the stadium. It has New York City on one side. I thought that they gave you. All right, hey guys.
Hey, thanks,
you
Michael.
You gotta go find the English guys.
I guess they couldn't find me. That's all right. That's all right. I've got my Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
That is very cool.
Yeah, I'm in good shape.
That is very cool. They gave it to us for a reason. I'm trying to remember now. There was something that we were celebrating. I don't know what it was. Well, I don't know if it was the 400th. Maybe it was that, but I don't know. But anyway, they're very cool glasses. So we appreciate it. We appreciate Blue City Radio. So thank you. I thought that you got some.
It's okay. Too. It's all right.
I feel bad now.
No, I wouldn't feel bad.
I can give you mine if you'd like. I don't want you crying. I know. I see it.
No,
I
think our local group, the podcasters as we call them, the streamers, the bloggers. Yeah. It's the way of the it's the way of the world. I mean,
it's what the kids watch.
And we've got Christian for the New York Post actually coming out on a regular basis, which is very good. So that's good too. So make sure you buy the Post and read his stories because he was there today. So I'm sure he'll have a preview tomorrow. or Saturday morning.
Or Saturday, yeah. And he had a post game. Little write up after New York City won, which is like surprising for the Post. So go read that. And every time that they get a hit on the New York Post and whatever major publication, that counts. It really does count, and they measure that sort of stuff. And so anybody who can go and read the story, it helps. If you build up the numbers, they'll feel that it's something that's worth covering. And I know that a lot of the young, young fans and all that may not go to, newspaper sites and read stuff there as opposed to bloggers and podcasters, but it really does help and it's important. So we want to get more coverage. We got to keep Christian busy and coming out to more games.
Yeah, well, I want to get back to the New York City at Charlotte because we saw what the announced attendance was. I want you to listen to this Dean Smith clip, the Charlotte FC coach, because what's interesting, they played Orlando last year and lost in 3 games, penalties in the game 3, which New York City beat Cincinnati, penalties game 3 to advance. Charlotte was eliminated. Charlotte still has not won a playoff game. They've gone to penalties and advanced, but they haven't actually won a playoff game. But listen to Dean Smith talk about Tuesday night, which after the game he said, thanks MLS for a Tuesday night game. But he said, no playoff atmosphere. Here's Dean Smith.
And I said to the players today, it didn't quite feel like last year's playoff game. There was an excitement last year when we was at home, and it felt more like an expectation, rather than the excitement of playing in a. We've worked really hard, 34 games to get a home game, and we've probably give that away in the advantage of that away in the first half performance. But it was something that we'll look at and look back on, and hopefully we can go and get the win at the Yankee Stadium to make sure that we come back and do right now. Yeah, I mean, listen, we distributed 34,000 tickets and we got 21,000 there. And listen, the fans that were there made a really good noise, but it wasn't like the feeling, and the feeling wasn't like it was against Orlando at home last year. The playoffs is meant to be everything in the MLS, so I just felt we could have played Friday. Why not? Why couldn't Miami play Saturday? And you're going to get bigger tendencies. I've got lots of people who live close to me who couldn't make the game because of their kids on a school night, and that's understandable. And I'm trying to support for our supporters. You know how much I cared about the supporters, and it would have been great to have a full lower bowl there, behind us for the game.
Well, they're supposed to have a lower bowl. So remember we were talking about this after the game. There's no way there were 34,000 people, but that's what they announced. And
right. So he basically said there are 34 distributed, right? And that was the attendance numbers that we got. But there were only 21,000 fans in the seats, which, it used to be, and you see this in baseball and you see this in other sports. And, when AP used to do the agate, which, by the way, they still do. It's not like they don't.
The agate was the first thing I read every morning as a kid up until there were there are no more agates and now, or newspapers,
Exactly. And so, and it used to list announced attendance and then no shows. Yeah. And but now they just do the announced attendance, tickets distributed, etc. So look, New York City averages a little over 21,000 a game or something like that, or 22,000 a game. That's not necessarily how many people actually show up all the time. But for instance, like me, I have season tickets, and then sometimes either I forget or it's too late, or people that I give them to all of a sudden can't go and they don't show up, but tickets paid for already, and so that counts.
Nico Fernandez-Mercal, Roberto, before we leave this and move on to maybe look at some of the other games. So the MLS salary figures were released, and let's put it out there if people don't know. Fernandez-Mercal is making $3.65 million as a designated player. And there was a New York Times article which ranked the transfers. Of course, our guy out in, let me see if I can pull this up. Son Heung-min at LAFC is at 11.15, followed by Rodrigo De Paul. And then coming in at number 3 is Nico Fernandez-Mercal, again, of the summer or March transfers.
No, not the March. The
January. The
July,
early window.
August. Yeah,
that window. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't bring it up that way to Pascal that, hey, we now know you've got a $3.65 million guy and he's not scoring goals. He's not he's not getting the statistical goal contributions that you might expect out of a DP. But anyway, here's our conversation about Nico Fernandez-Mercado.
Value.
For me and for our team, he's been tremendous and very productive. So I know that everybody is measuring outcome by assists and goals. We also measure the outcome by assists and goals, but so much more. And all the things that you described just now are part of so much more. So his influence in the team since he arrived has been massive. And in an important game like we had in game 1 against Charlotte, he proved his worth. And it's only a matter of time, Glenn, when this goes to the next level and the assists and goals will come as well.
Is there anything in particular maybe holding him back at this point? I mean, he came in as more of a 10 maybe. He wore the 10 at LJ, and, I think his stats were like 7 goals, 10 assists. So he had kind of that attacking mid playmaker kind of a statistical thing. Is it a little bit more difficult for him wider?
No, I don't think so. But that would be a great question for Nico himself to answer that. But I don't think so. I think he's able to take part in our game plan, which fits his profile and his qualities. What I do want to say is the difference in the second league in Spain compared to the MLS is huge. So that's something that I've experienced as well as a coach. The comparison is there with the championship also, or the lower half of the Premier League even. So the transitional part of the game of the league itself is something that players need to adapt to. And that's why I respect his part in our game so much, because he's able to deliver in every aspect of the game, if it's offensively, if it's defensively, or in the transitional moments, to show that he is capable of dealing with the transitional character of the league.
Yeah, and I had to kind of introduce the question by talking about his 8 ball recoveries in the game. And they had 5 recoveries in the Charlotte end in the first half hour of the game. And he was involved with the majority of those. 3 goals, 1 assist, just 6 shots on goal. That's the one that really stands out to me. 6 shots on goal in 885 minutes, 10 starts, 11 games. So, but as Pascal said, he, as you would expect too, it's coming. So.
It's coming, but he's also, remember, he's not playing in his position. I mean, he's a 10, but you've got Maxi on the field, and so he's got to move over and play a position that he doesn't normally play. Not that he hasn't played it, he has, but his natural position is to be playing the 10. So, but what he's doing in statistics that, don't shine is all the work off the ball. But this time it paid off, and this time it did shine, because when you see 8 recoveries, I mean, there are teams that don't normally get 8 recoveries. He had 8 by his own. And so, I mean, that just shows you, the volume of work that he does, when maybe nobody's watching, right? I mean, that's the type of stuff that he's involved, offense, defense, everywhere. And so maybe he doesn't have the goals and assists that maybe you would expect with somebody who's making over $3 million, but everything else he's doing. And then the biggest measure that you can do, how much has New York City actually improved since he arrived? I mean, it's measurably better. And not only that, but it makes the bench stronger, because you have Ojeda and Fernandez coming off the bench. And so, I mean, it just helps. It's one of the major flaws with MLS teams has been in the last 10, 15 years, is that normally, especially when you're playing Mexican League teams or you're playing teams from CONCACAF, you can go talent for talent for the most part with most of the teams in those other leagues, right? And then when it comes to the bench, and that's when they kill you, because they have talent coming off the bench that MLS teams normally don't have. That's not the case with New York City. And so, and you saw it when all of a sudden you're bringing guys like Julian Fernandez onto the field, and you're bringing guys like, in this case, Hannes Wolf onto the field, who was the first player off the bench, and then Ojeda, and then Fernandez. And I mean, it's like, you got to watch out for these guys, all of these guys. So not every team has that.
No, it helped with the depth. I think it's more, it's not so much that he hasn't come in and helped with the depth. It's about the production value. But the value is there, and it was seen against Charlotte, despite the fact that he couldn't finish. He had 2 chances. One of the attempts was from very deep, and he sliced it. That was after Pereira off the corner, off of Fernandez Marcau's corner.
Mm-hmm.
That thunderous header that was saved by Kalina, and Pereira then hit one off the bar in the first half, and but it was off that header that it eventually came back out to Fernandez Marcau, and he just sliced it wide. So no, it's good stuff.
I want to make a point here. I want to make a point here because I'm looking at this now, right? So New York City brings Wolf, Ojeda, Fernandez, and then Seymour Reed in the 90th minute, right? Coming off the bench, right? Meanwhile, if you look at who came off the bench for Charlotte, it was Tiger Smalls, it was Archie Goodwin, and Brandon Cambridge. That was it.
No, a total of like less than 200 minutes between the 3 of them, and they do have depth. But Pep Biel is out with a knee injury; he won't play again on Saturday, and then Wilfred Zaha, was suspended. So,
and New York City's without Keaton Parks and Malachi Jones.
Right. Now, I'm not saying that you're not making a good point. I'm saying Charlotte's bench is generally a little deeper than that. That's all I'm saying. And and they lost Ajamang during the course of the year as well. New York City did not lose Alonso Martínez, even though it was seemed pretty certain that Ajax had put in a pretty good offer. So. I'm just saying, just imagine New York City losing Alonso Martínez in July, and then you come back and tell me how things
we'd be talking about other teams in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
Because New York City probably wouldn't have made it.
He's and it's amazing, the number of goals he's left on the table too.
Yeah.
He still has 11 game-winning goals. The statistic that is really amazing to me. New York City has 7 road wins, Roberto, right? 6 in a regular year, now the playoff game. Martinez has the game-winning goal in 6 of them. And maybe the reason he doesn't have the game-winning goal in the 7th is because he didn't play in that game.
Yeah. I mean, it's
really
fantastic. I mean, remember that, what was it, 2 years ago? New York City won 1 away game. Last year they won 3. Before they won in Cincinnati on penalty kicks. I don't even know if that counts as a win. And now this year, I mean, once they figured the team out and they got everybody, because most of those wins came in the second half of the year.
Well, it's look, there's a good feel now. Every game has its own story. So you've got a desperate team coming in. They've got one of their top attacking players back. Will Tavon Gray, the Bronx boy, get under the skin of Zaha? That's good. Now, listen, if you're going to focus on anything on Saturday afternoon at 3:30, it's going to be Tavon Gray and Wilfred Zaha.
Hey, for the folks at Apple TV who might be watching this, because sometimes we know that they do, have a camera on that.
Yeah,
I'm telling you guys,
do isolation.
I'm telling you, have a camera on Tavon Gray versus Wilfred Zaha. Have a camera on that. It's going to be fun. Just telling you. Zaha on the game that they lost 2-0 on the 2 penalty kicks by Alonso. Well, when they went in, Zaha complained bitterly to Tavon the entire game. Width of the field, length of the grass, the atmosphere, the lines, everything. He complained about everything.
Well, Dean Smith after the game had some things to say about it too, and those are emotional moments for Zaha. I mean, if you're playing the game, man, you just play. If they put you out in the parking lot, right? If you have to go in the parking lot where the old Yankee Stadium used to be, or that whatever it is now, an open field or a baseball field, you go play. Just go play.
Go play. Seriously, go play. I mean, it's just nuts. When I told Tavon today, I said, you realize, right, that Fulham's field is 1 yard shorter and 1 yard wider than Yankee Stadium. And he was like, what? I go, oh, yeah. It's, what is it? Craven Cottage is 109 by 71. Nobody talks about it. It's 109 by 71. And if nobody believes me, go look it up. It's 109 by 71.
Well, on the presser today, of course, and I'll give Dean credit. He didn't bring it up at all, but of course there were at least 4 mentions of the dimensions of Yankee Stadium. All right,
now, I expect, by the way, one thing about the stadium. Now I haven't seen it, but based on what's happened in years past, Yankees have been eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah,
like 2-3 weeks now.
Field will be good.
It's not only going to be good, but that area of the field where the bases are, where the infield is, that normally is just covered by temporary turf. No, that's been, I'm sure, because they do this every year. I'd be shocked if they didn't. That's going to be totally covered over with permanent turf, because not only do they have the New York City FC playoff game, but then they're going to have the Pinstripe Bowl, I guess, sometime in November. So they have that field ready for as many NYCFC games that they're going to have, and then the Pinstripe Bowl. So that's going to be like a regular, it's going to be fine all the way through. The field it's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, it would be shocking if it weren't in better shape, because the idea is that sometimes you slip in that area. Sometimes it's uneven.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be, let's move on from this, and then we'll come back and wrap it up at the end and let everybody know what we're doing. Some of these other games. So the most recent game was LAFC defeating Austin 2-1. Do I have this clip? Shane, did I send you the clip of? Yeah, I do. I definitely have this. So Roberto, this is my pet peeve. I know this is a coaching point, but God bless. I cannot watch what happened. So there's an own goal. Like the first goal scored for LAFC is an own goal. Heinz Ike sends it in. Watch how freaking Ilya Sanchez is defending in the penalty area against Ryan Hollingshead. Is it Hollingshead?
Hollingshead took the shot. Yes.
Not Hollingsworth. Hollingshead. Yeah, Ryan Hollingshead.
Anyway. He always scores, by the way. He's got to be like one of the highest scoring defensemen in the history of this league. And I'll probably
look at this little movie. So Shane, do we have this or no? I think I sent this to you. There it is. All right, so there's no sound. This is just you and I, Roberto. Look, boom. Now we're going to get a better look at it here. I'm running it a few times. That went off of Heinz Ike. There he is. Hollingshead. Now watch Ilya Sanchez. Look, he's in the arms behind his back, no balance. Now look, am I claiming he's one of the great 1v1 defenders in our history? No.
Oh, God.
But he's got, what happens when you put your arms behind your back, you have no balance. And then he killed his balance even more by sticking out his left leg, and he was done. Look how far he was done by.
Oh, my God. He left his jock on the field on the left side. Jesus.
But he would have had more of a chance if he could move his feet with the arms extended in a balanced way. And this is why the handball rule, which, by the way, nobody knows what a handball is. So you might as well let people defend with balance. And if it hits their arm, it's unintentional and therefore not a handball, if you don't mind. Anyway, I just wanted to show that. And LAFC had 8 blocked shots. That always tells me about the mentality of the team. 8 block shots. That's pretty good.
That's a good number. Yeah, that's a good number. But, they didn't look invincible last night. I mean, they really didn't. Austin played back until they were down. Well, they were down to sort of early, but like at the beginning of the second half, they started to go forward a lot more. And they got a really nice equalizer. And it was a pretty even game. For the most part in the second half. And LA, who has been running roughshod over everybody, they got the win, but if for sure it wasn't easy.
Nope. Cincinnati beat Columbus. I'm just going to go in order of the games played, reverse order.
All right.
Cincinnati beat Columbus 1-0. Hell is real derby. The thing I noted here, Roberto, and I ended up watching. I know we watched some of the game together. And I went back and watched a little bit more. But Matt Free's competition for the U.S. men's national team, whether they are or aren't, because it's pretty hard to tell with Mauricio Pochettino who's in his goalkeeping stable. But Roman Salentano and Patrick Schulte both had excellent games. They were really good, both of them. So they helped themselves, is I guess what I'm saying there. Minnesota and Seattle 0-0. Dane St. Clair and Stefan Fry, who are not competing for the U.S. men. But they both had fantastic games. And the story there, I thought, in penalties, both Roldans missed their Alex hit it right down the middle, and Dane St. Clair just stood there and caught it and then stuck his tongue out at him. And then Christian Roldan over the bar.
Yeah. Oh, but they missed 3 out of 4.
Crossbar.
Shots.
Sorry, crossbar. So he
it's still
wasn't on
still
target.
Over the net. No, they missed 3 out of 4 shots. That's not good.
Philadelphia 2, Chicago 2.
I saw most of that game.
Wild game.
It was a wild. You can never count Chicago out on the road. You just can't. You just can't. And by the way, who was it? Who got the tying goal there? Elliott got the
Jack
tying
Elliott.
goal.
Yeah, the distance shot. Well, the distance shot. It was crazy.
Distance, and he didn't want to celebrate it too much because it was against his ex.
That was a tough goal not to celebrate. It ties the game up in stoppage time, and it's from like 35 yards out, and he hits it low with a slight slice, and it was an unbelievable shot.
It really was a really pretty goal.
And but then he had his penalty saved.
Yeah.
So his team, so Chicago ended up losing to Philadelphia on penalties. Their game is right after ours on Saturday, Roberto. So we're at 3:30, and then Chicago hosting Philadelphia at 5:30. So we will, we'll have to get out of there quickly and go watch that game somewhere. Vancouver blanked Dallas 3-0. I'd say the only thing I want to say here is Dallas. This is the game. Dallas did not have a single shot on goal. We have a playoff team without a single shot on goal, a team that shouldn't be in the playoffs if you listen to Maddie and I on the broadcast, because we feel anybody that finishes under 500 in the regular year, and if there's any greater proof of it, there it is. Vancouver could have won this game 10-0, and that's just watching the highlight package. I don't know what else.
No aggregate. Best news in that game, well, aside from the fact that I really like Vancouver and the way they play and everything else, I got over 32,000 people for that game.
Yeah,
it's a great story. What's going on? Supposedly at the beginning of the year, team was for sale. There was all sorts of rumors of what the hell was going to go on with Vancouver. There was some even, rumblings that they might move and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, aside from the fact that they've been playing great, they made Champions League final. Too bad they got sick and then they got rolled by Cruz Azul. But they've been playing fantastic all year long, and they've been supported by some really good crowds. And especially once Mueller got there, crowds really grew. 32,000 for a playoff game there. My respects. Well done, Vancouver.
Yeah, boy, I'd pay money to see Thomas Mueller and no Brian White and Ryan Gold. If he came in, it was off the bench second half. I didn't notice that, but he did not start. He was available, and I doubt he played because he's still coming back. They had such control of this game. San Diego 2, Portland 1. So San Diego, they continue their role, the West Division champs. Anders Dreyer got the game-winning goal in the first half. And the story behind game 2 now is Chucky Lozano will be in the squad on Saturday, but will not start. So Mikey Barrett.
At least that's been resolved.
Yeah.
I had heard, I don't know if I can confirm this, but one of the things that I had heard is that he got read the riot act by the commissioner. So one of the stories that I heard was that Don Garber directly called him.
Yeah,
said, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Obviously, he needed a translator, but whatever.
No, what
are you doing?
If he did that, kudos to the commish, because that's, you're in a position where you can do that. And you know what? One of your bigger players, especially out there, how much he means to that community out there and what he's done. And supposedly he's always been the night, he stays all night signing autographs. It's just too bad that he's got some of this.
Number 3 in shirt sales in MLS. I mean, he's a big deal.
Yeah.
And, you got to play up to that level, especially now in the playoffs. You can't be selfish.
Lionel Messi with a brace. Well, what else is
shocking?
New? Inter Miami 3, Nashville 1. Down 1-0 at the time was Nashville when Palacios, one of their central defenders, went off injured. Now, here's what I want you to picture. Nashville is losing 1-0. This guy goes down injured, comes off the field, and now is waiting by the fourth official. He can come back on, but he has to wait 2 minutes because of this ridiculous, insane, absolutely unsporting, not allowing your referees to manage a game rule that if you stay down for more than 15 seconds and the trainer has to come out and you come off and you stay in the game, you have to wait 2 minutes. The reason being they don't want players faking injuries to add on to the game. So again, I will express the scenario. Nashville is losing. It's the first half. Palacios is not trying to delay the game. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up in such ferocious manner is that Miami scored on a corner kick right where Palacios would have been defending. Now, Allende scored it. Would he have still scored if Palacios was in the game? Maybe. But the fact that their big center back, who's great in the air, is standing next to the fourth official while they take a corner kick when he was really injured and couldn't be come back onto the field because of this asinine rule in MLS really, really upset me. Now you're down 2-0 and it's game over, really. Yeah. Game over.
At least aggregate doesn't matter. So you could win one game 7-1 and still lose the next 2-1-0, and then you're out.
And they'll be on right after that Chicago game. So it's 3:30 New York City, Charlotte, 5:30 Chicago, Philadelphia, 7:30 Nashville, Miami. And
now, I forgot to ask. There's something I wanted to ask today, and I forgot to ask it. But if New York City winds up losing this game, which we hope that doesn't happen, but if they do, they go back to Charlotte, and the team plays Friday. Right now on the New York City FC app, it says the game's at noon. There's no way that game is at noon. I went and I checked.
I know, but let's not. Do we have
no? Because people have been asking. People have been asking me this. So maybe they haven't asked you, but they've asked me, and it's been more than one. And so I went and I checked on the Charlotte app and the Charlotte page, and they just have TBD. So we have for sure it's on Friday, but we don't know the time. I presume it's going to be in the evening, 6:55, 7:30, somewhere in that vicinity. It's not going to be noon.
Noon must be like some default setting or something.
Yeah, it's got to be a placeholder.
Yeah. Hey, one other thing I want to say about this thing where I went on a rant. Here's what you could do, Roberto. Can I give you a suggestion? And I'm sorry to spend so much time on this, but this boils I just can't. From a sporting standpoint, it's such a. Here's what you can do. In the first half, no. Now, if you want to, now maybe second half, if you're tied or winning, then you install it. Why can't they make that adjustment? They've had a chance for what now? It was last year, the first year, or 2 years ago? I can't even remember. It's been bothering me.
This is the second season.
So make first half, no, because nobody's killing the game in the first half.
Right.
So anyway.
Glenn, can I say something?
No. Yes, please.
I was about to compliment you, you dope. I was going to say that is a really good idea. I like that idea. I think that the commissioner and the power brokers and the power that be maybe in MLS.
Mark Geiger.
Absolutely. That they should absolutely consider that. Because it's not to benefit anybody to lose time if you're losing. And especially in the second half. So I would say that is a really good idea, and we should push it.
Let's push it. I did mention it to Mark Geiger last year in an interview for SiriusXM, and he told me at the time that it would be, they will always, it's a live kind of a rule document that they will always consider changing around. I don't know why. I know the coaches despise it.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I can't speak for Pascal because I don't think we've asked him. But I know Nick last year and Wilfred Nancy, I remember playing a clip. He went on a 2-minute roll on this, in a similar manner. He didn't raise his voice quite as loudly as I did, but we got the picture. Messi on NBC Nightly News did an interview, Roberto. I don't know if you saw any of this.
I did not see the interview, but I know he did it, and good. With the amount of money that he's making, he's the face of the damn league. He can't be mute. He's got to go out and do the work. They're not just paying him to play soccer. They're paying him to promote the league. The reason they brought him here, hold on one second sorry. I knew it. Give me a second here.
All right, I'll continue, and then you can pick up.
This is the issue. I want to show you that this is the issue. Every time my microphone gets disconnected is because Zena over here comes in and she lays there to keep me company, and then she disconnects me. Every time.
All right.
But speaking of which, by the way, you haven't been disconnected yet. I'm impressed.
No, I'm staying far
You're holding on.
I'm staying far away from the computer. I don't know. But I thought the main thrust of the article or the report was how he was basically, again, the commissioner's name comes up again is, let's open up the purse strings if you want to get the best players here. And which is not a novel.
It's not a novel, but it's the right thing to say.
And it's the right guy, maybe. Yeah,
it's the right guy, and it's the right thing to say. And you're seeing the results, Glenn. Look at what's happening when they brought in Son. Look what's happened with LAFC. Okay, they've become like a really huge deal all throughout, not only South Korea, but all throughout Asia. It is the #1 selling shirt of any sport of any player anywhere in the freaking world. Okay, it makes a difference. Look what Mueller's doing in Vancouver. And I mean, he isn't like, he's not on the level of either Son or Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, but look at what he's doing over there and the impact that he's had. I'd say, come on. You don't have to get guys like Chicago used to get that. They came basically almost in wheelchairs or played that way anyway. But you got to get guys that move the needle. Chucky Lozano moves the needle in San Diego. Those guys, and you've got to get more of them. And then when you start bringing in those sort of players, and then you start dominating CONCACAF, and you start winning all those Champions Cups that Mexico has won 18 of the last 19, right? It changes the narrative. It absolutely changes the narrative. Then you can start talking about, well, who has better teams, the U.S. teams or the Brazilian teams? Because right now it's clearly far and away Brazil is the best league in the entire continent, North and South. But when you start opening up the purse strings here, and remember, every freaking owner of a team is either a billionaire or close to a billionaire. Okay, so it's not like these guys are suffering. I was like, oh my God, if I pay them $1 million, what are we going to do? We're going to have to close. It isn't like the cheapskate at Man United who doesn't want to pay for food for their laborers anymore. I forgot his name. But anyway, this isn't the case. All these owners have money, and they bring in players like that. Look at the ratings. All that Apple would talk about when Messi came in was how ratings went up and how important it was, and all the new subscriptions that they got all over the world. And with Son, they had a new TV deal, not only with Apple TV being able to be, that they could see, but local Korean television is also broadcasting LAFC games. It makes a difference. It will increase.
Shane, put up the
eyes.
Put up the comment of Masum Kudre. With the new stadium coming in for New York City, hopefully we can open the purse and bring in someone. Well, Roberto, I know your credo since I've known you within this club is, you had Villa, you had Pirlo, you had Lampard, and you want more. So what do you want?
Yeah. I want somebody who is going to be, I understand what New York City FC did. I've had many conversations with David Lee about this, and I understand why he did and why he did it. It's very important that if you're going to bring in a player, that he's not a distraction, okay? That he isn't somebody who is like, well, you might treat everybody else this way, but I need special treatment. Remember Lampard, they rented an apartment for, and I am kid you not, and I don't know if you remember this, he had an apartment in Manhattan that New York City was paying $66,000 a month for him.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they did. And I mean, it's like, even David Villa didn't have that. David Villa was living on the west side. I know where he lived. And, those new buildings that, remember originally they were all Trump. And then, everybody freaking rioted and they got rid of all the Trump names of all of that. So he lived there. And I used to run into him on the Upper West Side, more than once. But, if you're going to bring somebody in, he's got to be somebody, the way Villa was as far as, I got to call her in English. I got to be the first guy in practice. I got to be the last one to leave. I've got to set an example. That's the type of guy that you want. And there are superstars that are like that, right? That are going to put team first. They're going to put work and effort first, and they're going to be great leaders. And that's who they have to be able to find. They're going to have to find that. It may cost a little bit more, but they're going to have to bring in somebody who is going to drive attention to the team. And, you want the New York Post, which thankfully is covering the playoffs, the Daily News, Newsday, the New York Times, to freaking pay attention to this. And to say nothing of maybe even WFAN here and there, ESPN Radio here and there. You want El freaking Diario. El Diario La Prensa doesn't freaking cover, except here and there, which is nuts. And I tell you that from being the former sports editor at El Diario. Because when I was sports editor at El Diario, every single team had a reporter. Everyone, Rangers, Knicks, obviously the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, the Jets. We sent reporters everywhere. Everywhere we had game stories written. El Diario doesn't do crap anymore, and it is infuriating.
Yeah, but every newspaper has limited their staff. They don't cover games like they used to at all. All newspapers. So I mean,
but
I wouldn't pin it on them.
No. I can read a Rangers story every day in the New York Post. I could read a Jets story, a Yankees story, a Mets story, a Knicks story every single day. And I'm not even saying that they have to do New York City every single day, which I think they should, but I don't. But if they didn't, but they did, feature during the week, pre-match, post-match, sidebar. That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
No, I'm with you on that, because you don't even have to have somebody present. You could have somebody watching the game and could be in on the Zooms and, just make at least that presentation. Hey, would you like James Rodriguez? I'm only asking because John Rojas has told us that there's a rumor in Colombia because it looks like he's on his way out from León.
Yes, I've read that. James, I think he'd sell some tickets. I don't know if he's the right fit in the. I'm not sure. I'd really have to figure out more. I'd have to find out more if he's a good fit in the dressing room. I just know that he's never lived up to his potential that he had in that World Cup in Brazil, where everybody thought he was going to be one of the great players, and then he turned out to be a very, very good player, no doubt. But I would think, and maybe John can correct me on this because I know he's watching, that he probably left some talent on the table that he probably could have done better. John, I'm waiting for your response. I'm looking at my phone.
All right, let's kick it around, Roberto. DFP Pokal Cup is the German Cup, and St. Pauli defeated Hoffenheim in penalties. James Sands, back from injury, played 120 minutes. He converted his penalty. But I want to show you something. They scored in the first minute, did St. Pauli. They ended up losing their lead, but it was Sands with the assist. So let's look at it. I think we can talk over this.
All right, let's see.
Here we go. It's off a corner, near post flick, goal.
Nice.
We'll see ya. So that's right. Not Sands. That's so watch Sands there. Boom. There's a little.
Flick. Nice little header there to keep it going over the in front of goal.
Yeah. So there's Jimmy Sands getting the assist. He was also the tying goal, and it was such a harsh goal. Now, he had his arm next to his body. He's in the penalty area and turned a little bit, and it hit his arm, and they called handball, and that was the tying goal.
That's not a handball.
This is what I'm saying, Roberto. Back to freaking Ilya Sanchez putting his arms behind his back.
That's not a handball. If your arm is next to your body, if your arm is next to your body and it's like touching your body, it's not a handball.
Roberto, it was called a handball.
I know. I'm just saying it
was reviewed, and it was. This is what Alex Chilowitz, who's now doing games. The referee, a friend of mine, is doing games in the championship and league. So I sent him a clip of this. I have the clip, and I did not send it to Shane, but I sent him the clip, and he just wrote back, "That was harsh." That's all. That was his comment. It was crazy. It was crazy.
But anyway, so harsh, basically meaning no, it shouldn't have been a penalty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's about it. So that was
so basically what you're trying to say is that he and I agree, but you wouldn't give me the credit to say that. But that's fine.
I don't even know what you're talking about. But anyway,
of course not.
So the Sands goal and their win was on the same night as New York City FC. So I thought that was, it's nice. It was a big day for the New York City Football Club, including players that they have out on loan. Jimmy Sands' loan runs through, I think it runs through 27 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, that's a pretty good loan.
Yeah, or no, it's 26, and then all the supporters are hoping he comes back and christens the stadium in 27. That's what it is.
Okay, so I have a note here. So hold on, because John wrote me and he said James is going to bring a lot of people to the stadium in Queens. He says, but he needs to be surrounded with a coach that que lo mime. What's the word for that? That he
caters to him.
Basically
coddles him.
Yeah, coddles him. That's a perfect word.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that he give him the keys to the project. See,
no, he doesn't deserve the keys. Yeah, he doesn't deserve the keys. No.
Yeah, because at that point, right, that's going to be Nico Fernandez Mercado's team.
All right.
Yeah. And by the way, we had coffee on Saturday before the. I went to have breakfast, and he was sitting there. We got a chance to talk. Now that I know what his salary is, at least he could have bought me breakfast. For Jesus Christ, at least.
Well, you do have to ask him the question that Pascal said you should ask him to me, but you should ask him because he doesn't speak English, and you could speak with him. And that was. Is he struggling a little? Maybe struggle's the wrong word, but is he less comfortable out on the flank than he is in the middle?
I'll ask him because he'll talk. I mean, we do talk. I've spoken to him several times.
I know.
For record, yeah,
I get that. So just next time you chat with him, you see.
He said something. He said something to me, but as he was leaving, when we were talking, because we spent about like 15 minutes together, and he said something to me. He turned around and he says, "We have to win." And it was like this look of determination of no other freaking result is acceptable. We have to win. That was his mindset, and he freaking played like it.
Yep, he sure did, man. He was up to the task, as was the NYC boys in blue.
Why it's important for your announcers to be on the road and in the stadium, because you get nuance like that you just don't get by sitting in the studio or sitting at home calling a game. You just don't get it.
I suppose we could say we don't really get Gio Reyna, but he did an AP story with James Ellingworth recently, and that made a lot of headlines. In particular, Doug McIntyre put out a post and made a comment on the post. I didn't, let me see if I can pull it up. So Doug said, Doug has covered the game a long time, and and the quote that he pulled from the article, this is Gio Reyna speaking, I'm not just going to sort of sit here and take all the blame for something that was made out to be completely my fault. He's referring to Qatar 2022. I was just upset that I wasn't really playing. What Doug says right after that, and then just leaves it in the ether, and you can read the article, is completely tone deaf from Gio Reyna, given Pochettino's team-first messaging.
Okay, so here's my take on it, and I was speaking to my friend Andrew Cameron about this, and he sent me the article, and we both basically reacted the same way. He hasn't learned a goddamn thing. He learned nothing from this. Absolutely nothing.
Because one thing he said here, Roberto, and just to add a little more context to this, is that he added, this is the writer now, James Ellingworth, he added that the tensions stemmed from, that's the quote, stemmed from unhappiness with his game time. And I think I've told you this story, Roberto, and it's just an addendum because, Claudio Reyna and Danielle, the mom, and what they've gone through with the passing of their younger son, and how older son, sorry, how the kind of the role they played, and in Qatar, by chance, because it was who was giving one of the assistants, Luchi Gonzalez, the first team assistant at the time, and I was with a group of coaches, and he was giving us like a presentation the day before the Iran game. But we went to their hotel and huddled over in the corner, and I started walking over, and then I recognized I better not do this. Was Claudio with Ernie Stewart and Brian McBride, the two guys that were heavily involved. And it came out later that conversation was pretty much Claudio going like, "What the F's going on here? Why is he not playing?" And that trickles down to your son as well. So, I
guess Claudio didn't remember that, coaches sort of run teams. Did he not know how this works? How does he not know how this works?
I was just upset that, I really wasn't playing. I was playing at Dortmund, so I thought I'd play at the World Cup. Oh, my word. And he does say, in regard to Pochettino, it's all on me now. So he did say, he at least recognizes that, look, I understand why I'm not there.
Good for that. But, either he's got to go see a psychologist to understand, what his role is, and, what's a proper thing to say and what's not the proper thing to say. But humility-wise, just common freaking sense.
Right.
Okay? I was upset. It's in the past, and I've learned from it, and we're moving forward.
Thank you very much. You should have been his scriptwriter, Roberto.
We're moving forward.
Yeah. It's going to be his last chance to talk about it too. Like, it's never going to come up again now, and this is going to be the last. This is the last word. It's unfortunate unless he comes back and says, "Look, I really meant it this way." I doubt he'll do that, but boy.
And then right now he's playing for Borussia. Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Yeah,
he's playing with Joe Scally. Neither of them seem to be able to break into the starting lineup anymore, and they are a sift defensively, and they're sitting dead last in the league. They did win a cup game this week, but they're sitting dead last in the league.
Yeah,
and he's not starting.
Well, I put something out that I watched a full Mönchengladbach game recently where Scally started, and Gio came off the bench in the second half, and neither one of them. If I'm Pochettino watching this game, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not bringing these guys in, and that's the level they were at.
Well, and by the way, Scally hasn't been in a long time.
Yeah.
Scally now in the depth chart is behind Dest and behind Freeman, an MLS player who's 20 years old. He's behind both of them. He's clearly behind both of them.
Yeah, Alex Freeman, who's just named MLS Young Player of the Year for if you care about these awards.
It's a very nice award to have. That's very nice. It doesn't mean anything as far as a lot of different things, but he's earned it, and it's a nice award to have. So congratulations.
It's a nice award to have. So we've got what's today? Thursday. So in 2 days we've got a Game 2 as New York City tries to wrap it up at Yankee Stadium. Interesting, since 2022, Roberto, and the whole thing about Charlotte and the home field advantage, how huge that was going to be for them, because 13 wins at home, which led MLS. They are third overall since 2022 when they came into the league in wins at home. You know who's second? You know who's second, though? The New York City Football Club.
Yeah.
So it's Yankee Stadium where they've generally done very, very well. The opponents struggle there, but we'll see what happens. It's a 3:30 kickoff game. So it's the first game of the day. Our airtime is going to be 3:15 for Roberto and I on Roberto Spanish, myself English, the pregame show with Pascal Janssen. And then Matty Lawrence and I will be on at 2:30 with our NYCFC pregame live. A lot of you tuned in for the game in Charlotte. Appreciate that. We usually have some good stuff, and we'll see what we can come up with. But
I have an interview with Andres Perea. Really good interview. I was really happy with it. He was so forthcoming with information. One of the questions I asked him, so what was it like to be on the field and watching Martinez do what he did from that perspective?
Nice. And it turns out they are from my Hudson River Blue Q&A with Alonso. They're buddies. I didn't even know that. And what Alonso explained to me is that the Costa Rican and Colombian culture, food culture, they're very similar. I didn't know this, and that's kind of how they got truly connected. But he also does feel like he's an honorary Argentinian with that group up front he plays with. So it's wild.
All four were on the field, not at the same time, but all four were on the field.
It's amazing. So hopefully we don't go back to Charlotte, but we'll find out Saturday. We'll see what happens. And but thanks for joining us here. Hope to be talking to you on Saturday. And here we are on NYCFC Views Live. Have a good night, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.